Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome to some new professional games of StarCraft 2 played on the public test realm with the brand new balance changes. Again, 8 worker starts. This is gonna have to take a little bit of getting used to. Now, over the last few days, we've had a look at, well, first off, Protoss versus Zerg on the new patch, and then also Zerg versus Terran. Today, naturally, that means it is time for a little bit of PvT, some Protoss versus Terran. So spawning right here, playing in blue, from Poland, we have none other than Mana, and his opponent, supposedly not from South Korea, according to Mana, because he doesn't actually believe that this is the real Ryung. He believes that this is probably some other Korean Terran, or maybe a high-ranking European Terran, who is playing under the Ryung ID. He didn't quite elaborate as to why he believes that this is not actually Ryung, but I guess it doesn't really matter, because these are going to be some of the very highest-ranked players on the public test server so far. Now, we're starting off with this macro game of Terran versus Protoss, but Mana also sent me some very cheesy games of Protoss versus Zerg, so we'll have a look after this particular match at what he has been cooking up. I know he's been a big fan of the cannon rush over the last few years, so I'm hoping we're going to be seeing a little bit of cheese on the new patch against Zerg then as well. This is a matchup, though, Protoss versus Terran specifically, that I am very interested about. First off, well, how in the world does Protoss even start off a match like this? So real quick, in case you haven't read the patch notes, or maybe you've been kind of out of the loop, it doesn't really matter all too much. Warpgates, the research for Warpgates, has been moved from the cybernetics core onto the gateway itself. Meaning that the cyber core right now is really just a tech structure, and it's really just here to get a bunch of air upgrades. Air upgrades are not really too useful early on in the game, most of the time anyways. But how do you now prioritize production, and when do you actually get the research? It's important to note as well that the Warpgate research right now does not immediately mean that you also want to transform your gateways into actual Warpgates. The problem is that it now costs 50 minerals and 50 gas for each individual... Oh, alright. For each individual gate, meaning that you have to spend resources early in order to actually get that research done. Okay, so Mana is starting off. I guess he saw with that one probe over there that ended up dying to the Marine that this is not a Reaper start. Mana is starting off with a very greedy Warpgate research. Now, even though you have to spend 50 minerals, 50 gas in order to transform a gateway into a warp gate, so if you want to go for 8 gates, that's 400, that's the cost of a mothership. Extremely expensive. You don't actually have to go ahead and do so, because the Warpgate research now also speeds up the production time of a regular gateway by 35%. Meaning that if you want to just produce an army, kind of like the way that Terran does it, right? Out of like a gateway or a factory, for example, you can now do the same thing as well with gateways. And this, honestly, the worker start change is obviously very significant, but this is one of the most interesting things, because it effectively means that, yes, Terran and Zerg have to change up their build orders quite a lot, but Protoss, well, they have to go back to the drawing board. We have to go back to the absolute basics. Mana now is 3.5 minutes into this game, and he doesn't have a single attacking unit. There's no way that this is the best way to open up, is it? Well, I guess if you know for a fact your opponent is going Marines. Yeah, we have Ryung over here, or fake Ryung, opening up. Oh my god, wait, what is this? Is this a StarCraft 2 equivalent of a Reaver drop? What in the world are we doing right now? This is Immortal first, out of the Robo facility, straight into a Robo Bay. If we're gonna follow this up with a Prism as well... Oh, we're going Observer? Okay. Immortal, Observer, Prism? And then into a Disruptor or even like a Colossus? A little bit funky. Yeah, Terran here is playing very passively too, so it's allowing Mana to get away with all of this greed. We now already have the double gases taken here too. By the way, look at the Stalker. So this is so weird. Mana decided to go for the Warpgate research early on, but then he does not want to transform the gateway into a warp gate immediately. I would imagine, I've been thinking about this quite a lot, I would imagine that the time at which you want to go for the warp gate research... Oh, we're going to need this pylon here. Yeah, it's a quick Colossus on the back it is, okay. I would imagine the time at which you actually want to transform your gateways into warp gates every single time is probably when you want to go on the offense. Early on, when you're playing defensively, you really don't need it. You really do not need to go for a very quick, warp gate transition. As a matter of fact, Mana's not even really using the gateway right now. It's still a relatively cheap upgrade, so you may as well. All right, here we go. Widowmine drops. Normally, against Stargate-based openers, this strategy has been figured out really well. Or sorry, against Twilight Council-based openers. Same actually for Stargate-based openers. This strategy here from Terran has been figured out really well. Good response there by Mana. We never really see, though, a Robo-first build in this particular matchup. Yeah, we are gonna go for a drop. Wait a second, this is a Warp Prism Colossus drop. Okay. Widowmines are still going to be hanging out right outside of the main base. 5 probes, and actually also the Observer apparently got caught right there in the collateral. Fake Ryung here, or maybe real Ryung, I don't know, has decided to go for a 3rd command center, and then additional barracks as well on the back of this. This playstyle honestly does remind me of the way that Ryung would play. We have a little bit of a supply block here. It's so funky, man, seeing the absolute highest ranking players in the world hitting supply blocks, but that's just because the early game has not just been set in stone yet. Like, normally you will get a supply depot. Look at this, Mana again hitting another little supply block here. It's just for a few seconds. But all of those timings that you're used to, they're thrown out of the window. Nothing really makes sense anymore. It's gonna take a while for everybody to figure out what's going on. We have 6 Widowmines, by the way, just about to be dropped. And then simultaneously, we have a Colossus also ready to drop inside of the main base of the Terran. This is going to hurt. No, that is a lot of probes going down. What about the Widowmine drop right over here? 14 probes have already died on Mana's end. And so far, Ryung, or fake Ryung, is a bit of a bully. Oh, yo, yo. Oh, yo, 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 yo. That is so much damage. This Colossus drop has his work cut out for itself. 26 probes have died. Now, yeah, we have ranged on the Colossus. That's nice and all. Obviously, the Colossi do deal quite a bit of damage. But I've got a feeling that the siege tank is going to be fine. Double Viking coming up. That is going to force this Prism to retreat. We do not have Gravitic Drive, so we're going to have to be quick here on the recall and all the rest of it if you ever want to try and get away. Still, though, this Colossus drop is really fun. And obviously, the defense here from Mana has been a little bit sloppy. It's one of the things, yet again, that is just going to take some getting used to. Widowmine drop decides to land on over here. We do not have Blink, so that is going to be a Stalker sacrificing itself. We're standing here within the min range. Okay, we got a recall. Pick up, get out. Okay, we don't have to apparently pick up. Actually, not picking up there was the right call. See, I would have panicked and picked up. But not picking up there was 100% the right call. Okay. So, the Prism ended up dying, but the Colossus is safely back at home. 18 confirmed kills to its name as well. Huh. You know what? It's not a Reaver drop, but it's pretty badass. The Widowmine aggression, though, will continue. Very funky. Very funky indeed. And I'm assuming here that this is mostly, again, really viable now because it's going to be more difficult for Protoss players to open up with quick Blink Stalkers every game. Maybe Stargate, yeah, maybe Stargate builds are once more back on the menu, but it's really hard to say. It's a little bit too early. Wait, we have a second starport? Huh. What in the world here is Terran going for? Double starport? We're not even using the first one right now. Are we going to be building up like 4 Vikings at a time? What's the plan? Yeah. So I guess he's really respecting the Colossus at the very least. You do definitely want to have a good number of Vikings available against the Colossus opener, but I don't really necessarily know if you need a second starport for that already. Look at this as well, man. We have some queued up supply depots here. All of this is oh, I thought for a second it was this one right over here. No, those are separate SUVs getting to work. Fair enough. Extra barracks going up. Yeah, this entire build is also an absolute mess for the Terran. Honestly, this Terran's position here is really nice, but it's just because the Widowmines have just been dealing a ridiculous amount of damage. 30 probes is just too much, and I don't think you can really reliably get away with that every single game. Right? Like, it seems to me much harder to counter the Colossus than it is to counter the Widowmines. It's just that the Widowmine builds are at a different time than what we're used to. It's gonna just make things a little bit more tricky. Scan over here will reveal the amount of anti-air. It's really not that much. So now we have 6 gateways coming up. Look at this. A High Templar just came out of a regular gateway. Seriously, when's the last time you've seen a High Templar getting produced out of gateways? Seriously, it's so weird. It's so funky. You can do the same thing with Dark Templar, right? I mean, Brood War players have been doing this for ages. But look, we have another one getting warped in here but not with a Warpgate. Fourth Nexus coming up right now. Terran's economy here is really solid, though. We're gonna now double down on it as well with a fourth command center. Storm coming up, gravitic drive, so that is the warp prism movement speed also added into the mix. Are we gonna produce out of all of these gateways manually? Is that the goal? Is that what we're... I'm assuming that's the plan. Or are we gonna transfer them over right now? No, we're making zealots. 10 minutes into the game, we're making zealots. Yeah, he's got charge coming, may as well. +2 attack is finishing pretty quickly. Ghost Academy coming up, okay. So, Ghosts, they are probably the most complained about unit on the PTR so far. There's quite a few bugs in the game as well at the moment, so maybe some of the Ghost damage is also not quite intended. But let's just say that Ghosts deal an insane amount of damage. Normally, they wouldn't really be like a core army unit against Protoss. I mean, they're nice for their spells. Their EMP especially is really good. But they just deal a lot of damage. Like, their straight-up damage output is absolutely through the roof. Now, the Viking count is also through the roof, though. We have some High Templar. The High Templar storms will have to be pretty much perfect. 5 Zealots are being made outside of regular gateways. Ryung is hunting this down. He does get the Prism. There's really not a whole lot of Terran units available here on the ground, but it doesn't really seem to be too necessary. With this type of army composition, Protoss just can't really engage. We're gonna need way more Zealots for this type of army to charge in. And with the Viking count being this high, yeah, you can just pick off the Colossi with ease. Storm is nice and all, but it really doesn't matter too much. As long as the Colossi are taken care of, that's all that Terran really wants. Liberators right now on the back of this too. We can always repair those Vikings back up too, or maybe even land them. They're actually pretty significant damage dealers. Good Storm over there, though, preventing as well this Terran army from chasing all of this down. We have double Robo, triple Robo even available here for mana. He's going for double upgrades as well, but I wonder if it's a little bit too greedy because this Terran army is just looking absolutely monstrous. How in the world is mana going to be able to clean this up? Decent force field, but not amazing. Storm over there, decent too, but not amazing. Now, this Storm, though, is spicy. Storm, by the way, has been nerfed a little bit. Storm now deals 100 damage rather than 110. Ugh. Vikings all land on the ground now. We have 10 Zealots just about to all pop out of regular gateways. Sorry, I can't quite get over this. This is so strange. But yeah, transforming them over when you're on the offense makes a lot of sense. Spending the money right now on, well, being able to warp in units doesn't make any sense here for Protoss at all. Mana did, by the way, secure this expansion over here in the bottom right, despite the Widow Mines being extremely annoying. Ryung is going to continue pushing forward here with the landed Vikings. Yeah, I think that this base is also toast. And that is now going to reduce the Protoss economy to 3 bases, whereas Terran is securing a 4th. We have barracks 6, 7, and 8 right now coming up inside of the main base of Ryung. He's gone for the +2 attack as well, which is awesome. Really, the one advantage here that Mana does have... Where are we going, lads? Where are we headed? The one advantage here that Protoss does have is the upgrades. The upgrades are really good. Maybe we slice up a bunch of SCVs and go home, because the entirety of the Terran army is returning to try and get rid of this type of unit composition. And you know what? Pushing for the upgrades is actually kind of sick. There we go. There we go. There we go. Denied a +2. Denied a +2 and recall? Yeah, we're going to try and recall some of them out. Okay. Not a lot of the lads remain. But that is now allowing Mana a bit of a death bowl. Right? If he can actually max out, he's going to be at +3 attack, +1 armor, versus +1 on the attacks for Terran. And that is a major difference. I think Mana needs to be careful, though. Pushing out right now is a mistake. Although Storms could be juicy. Storms could be really juicy. Not bad whatsoever. Maybe don't walk into your own Storms, though. Apparently, Mana is smelling blood. Wait a second. Is this not a gigantic misread from the Polish Protoss? I think he needs to be very cautious because this is just so many Terran units. Then again, the medevac count is low. Liberators are available, though, and they are going to be really scary to deal with. The Colossi, though, is still tiptoe around. Low HP or not, their damage output is still significant. Vikings now are being rebuilt once again. This Nexus here on the low ground is not really going to stay alive, I don't think. Well, maybe. There's a lot of Terran units here sailing through the middle of the map. Yeah, and that's just not going to be good enough. Cancel here to at least get some of the money back. I think, though, Mana sitting here and getting, like, a one type of army, right? Like a one-punch army. This is so crazy. I've never seen this before in SC2, man. That's so nuts. I know that this is 100% the norm in StarCraft Brood War. But anyways, I think making like one big army and going for almost like an all-in is not a bad choice. Although I say that, all of these individual exchanges are just looking so freaking good for Protoss. It's because of the upgrades. These upgrades make such a big difference. And it's a major oversight here for Terran. The new music, by the way, playing in the background as well. Couple of Widow Mines here being annoying. But the new music tracks that have been added to the multiplayer version of the game, really sweet. Mana decides to go on the offense. Does he ever transform the gates? I guess you need a Warp Prism too. Or maybe like a proxy pylon or something along those lines. A couple of Zealots here will sacrifice themselves against the Widow Mines. Big EMP there, but the Colossi are still going to be able to just roast all of the units that get within range. Viking count is decently high once again. Yeah, the Stalkers would really love to retarget onto those Vikings, but they're not quite within range. Reinforcing Colossus here in the middle of the map. It is gonna likely get intercepted. And this is now the entirety of the Protoss army disappearing, it seems. Well, I say that. There's still enough troops left over, but Terran can back up to the safety of the planetary fortress. And that will force the Protoss to go back home. Right now, though, we've got ourselves a 4th Nexus. And keep in mind, on the new PTR, bases don't run out nearly as quickly. Look, we're 16 minutes in. I mean, there's not a lot of mining in the main base, evidently, but there is still some mining. Normally, in the live version of the game, this base would have been out for several minutes already. And it is only just now, about 16 and a half minutes in, that the main base runs dry. And the same can be said for the Natural, the Third, and all of the other bases. You can actually sustain an army for a lot longer on a smaller number of bases. Obviously, the worker count is still, well, game deciding most of the time. But you don't really need to expand as quickly. So even though in the current live version of the game, Mana would be super dead economically here for a while already, he can actually sustain this quite comfortably. Terran's catching up, by the way, in the one department where Mana has been leading all this time. 2-2 is on the horizon now. Still a little ways off, but we're getting there. And this Protoss army is once more looking pretty mighty. The Storms are pretty good as well. The Viking count, though, back up. Ooh, more High Templar do actually pop out of those regular gateways. Vikings are now all dangerously low. The Stalkers decide to indeed retarget this down. Terran really is making some critical errors in these fights. And it is now allowing Protoss to chase all of this down. And maybe that's the reason why Mana has been thinking, yo, this is probably not the real Ryung, because Ryung is one of the highest ranked Terrans on the planet. He would not likely be making mistakes like this. Zealots are slicing up all of the SCVs here at the 12 o'clock base. Oh, Mana's actually starting to break through. We still, by the way, have not transformed our gateways into warp gates. Even though we got the warp gates research as the literal first thing in this game. Wow, GG gets cold. It's Mana who, despite the terrible early game, wins the match. Okay, next up, we find ourselves on Tourmaline. Now, judging by the fact that the Zerg here is playing in orange, I think that these are custom games. I've got 2 replays against the same opponent. So once more, we have Mana in the bottom left. And the only information that he gave me is that his opponent is a Grandmaster Zerg who goes by the name of... is that an actual username, or did he just slam his fist on the keyboard? I mean, it does say Povoska, which does seem very Eastern European to me. I have no idea if it means anything, though. What is this? Wait. Oh, a double extractor trick. That's fancy. In the meantime, probe moving across the map. Forge first. I mean, Mana said that this was a cannon rush, so I'm assuming it's a forge first. I mean, 150 minerals is pretty expensive, man, in the current meta. Yeah. Jeez, inflation has hit StarCraft 2 as well. Curious opener here, though, from the Zerg. So this is a double gas geyser trick into a hatchery first before another overlord. Proxy pylon in the meantime coming up. The idea behind the gases, I get this question all the time. What is a Vespian gas geyser trick? Well, basically, when you make a structure as Zerg, it costs you the worker, right? But if you cancel the structure, you get the worker back. So if you're supply blocked and you make 2 Vespian gas geysers, which is the cheapest structure you can make, you can then add on 2 additional drones, cancel the gases, and you now find yourself with 2 more workers above the maximum supply cap. So we have a proxy gate coming up together with a photon cannon. This is why it is still very useful to have a second overlord early, though, even though it may delay your expansion for a bit. Just using it to get vision in your own natural is a big deal. Do you now cancel the hatch? I think that hatchery is already toast, man. Not a lot you can do about it anymore. There is a spawning pool about to finish, but in my mind, when the photon cannon, is already ready to start shooting, you may as well cancel it, and that is indeed what happens. Mana's cannon rush already working out so far, but this is not the end of it just yet. And that is a bit of an issue here for the Zerg. He does not know. What he does have, though, is a worker. Are we going to use this for another proxy base? I think so. Or are we going to use it for scouting what Protoss is up to? Cybercore right now to at least start up a proper wall in the natural expansion. Gateway not being used just yet. Roach Warren right now on 1 base, and the second gas is being remade together with a spine crawler. Okay. Probe is looking around. He knows that the drone is out there somewhere. He saw it slip by. He's got 2 workers out on the map, and I think Mana's gonna see it now. Okay. No hatchery started yet, so not the end of the world right here for our player in orange. We should be seeing some Ravagers, right? Like, that is certainly the plan. If we're gonna make Ravagers, though, we should 100% be saturating that gas. Oh, we're not going Ravagers. Wait a second. This is all intentional. He's actually prioritizing the saturation on minerals first. We have a Roach Warren just in case. Hatchery does go down. Okay. Probes in the meantime have made their way together with a Zealot towards the far bottom right. Mana's still looking around. He's a little bit suspicious. Stargate right now inside of the main base of Protoss 2. So he's found one of the proxy bases though, and I guess he's just double checking whether or not there's not another hatch out there somewhere. A single Stalker pops out, but that Stalker is not going to be able to achieve much. Now that indeed we have a decent saturation of minerals, the second gas has started mining too. Link speed on the back of this as well. We're effectively playing 1 base versus 1 base. And at least in the current meta of StarCraft 2, that would be problematic, because in about 6 minutes the base will run out. But right now, you can actually sustain a 1 base economy for a lot longer, like what we saw in the previous game. Yeah, the players will need to expand at some point, but it's not as much a necessity. Mana wanted to go for an Oracle, decides to cancel it, and goes for a Void Ray instead. Do we cancel this? We do not cancel this? Ooh, Nidus Worm on the back of this. Wait, Nidus Worm, Zerglings, an extra Queen? Ravager now coming up? Keep in mind, though, that Protoss doesn't have a massive economy either, right? I mean, yeah, not really anything has died yet, even though there's been a lot of posturing. This will just be a straight resource loss. We do get a few Lings out, maybe to provide vision, actually, for the Nidus network. It's going to be difficult to really get vision here with an Overlord out on the map, especially once the Void Rays hit, but I guess a Ling could be nice. Mana does, however, have vision of this, and he is going to be able to make the beam thick and shut down this very, very first Nidus Worm. There's already a lot of units in sight. Those Lings, though, are still quite nice. We have a Larva as well. Yeah, the Larva! The Larva providing vision just about a second before it bleeds out, allowing the Nidus Worm to be planted down right outside of the vision range of Mana, who thought he had everything covered, but is accidentally now finding himself up against the Zerg all-in regardless. We have a lot of additional structures building over here, but I feel like this is now the least of Mana's issues. He needs to be addressing this, well, pretty significant Zerg attack here soon. Queens do pop in into Nidus Worm once more. Yeah, we need some proper anti-air, man. He's trying to juggle the Queens with a network. Nice little bit of transfusion there. Queen pops out again. Another corrosive pile. Proxy Spore Crawlers come up. That was really beautiful there from the Zerg. You love to see it. Overseer, in the meantime, sails around the map. He's probably wanting to try and get vision of the corner or something of the Protoss' main base. And now we're going to start slow pushing. Yeah, we need a little bit of creep. We need a little bit of creep to actually get those Spore Crawlers within range. But I've got a feeling that these bases, or these structures over here, are toast. Oh, Fleet Beacon. Wait, is this again now devolving into 1 base Tempest? Is really the only thing that makes sense. Couple units will be needed at home, as Protoss is poking up towards the high ground, trying to be a nuisance. There's multiple fights going on at the same time, though, so the Zealot sacrificing itself, not a big deal. Distracting the Queen may actually make it worth, or may it make it actually worthwhile. More Spore Crawlers coming up. So if we can get a Tempest out, Zerg should technically not be able to snipe it without a Spire, because the Tempest just have so much range. Night is Worm in a quarter of the main, and this is actually going to potentially provide vision as well of the next tech here for Protoss. Okay, well, this was nice here for Protoss, I guess, but not if it comes at the cost of a network. Okay. At the very least, it now means that Protoss cannot be expecting this entire Zerg army in the main base, but this is still going to provide vision, and would you look at that, immediately, we now have a one-base Spire response. This entire matchup is up in the air, man. This is so different than what we're used to in the current meta of SC2. I absolutely love this, even though it's disgusting, and maybe we need some more refinement over time. This is beautiful. Queens pop out of the network yet again. I think one of the Void Rays may end up dying here. Nice little bit of stutter stepping from the Zerg. Okay, not going to happen. Nexus in the meantime, proxied all the way up north, next to the relative safety here of the Zerg Natural. In the meantime, the dance here continues. Tempest number 1 is out. We need to have Corruptors. The only way that Zerg can counter this is with Corruptors. But obviously, Void Rays deal bonus damage to Corruptors, because they absolutely destroy units that are armored. Queens have to pop out of the network yet again. Mana knows how risky it is to stay close to the creep. Brenda and the ladies don't mess around. We do have Tectonic Destabilizers now coming up as well for mana. That is going to double the damage that Tempest can deal to structures. Specifically against Spore Crawlers here in this instance, it's really nice. Some of the Zerg units, though, are going to try and break open the main base. Wait a second, is that the right call? I don't think so. Overextension here from the Zerg. He moved in here like he owned the place, but I don't think that was quite the right move. Nexus up north is now done. Tempest may not even need the Tectonic Destabilizers at this rate. He does decide to recall some of the probes from the main base too, by the way, so about half the workers from the main base are now gone. And this is an issue here for Zerg that he does not know about. Protoss has got a second base. Zerg is still kind of stuck here. Void Rays are going around the site. It seems that the Tempests are going to be able to keep this Zerg army at the front at bay as well. And while we do get a bunch of Corruptors out now, I am a little bit afraid. Oh, this is really good as well here. I'm a little bit afraid for the economy right now of Povoska. Mana's trying to get rid of this Spire. What about the Corruptors, though? They have now arrived on the other side of the map. It's only 5 of them. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think this is okay. I mean, we're gonna maybe kill one. No, not even. Night is Worm over here. New hatchery starts up. Looks like the Queens did actually get rid of the Voids. So that's a big deal. Spire is still here available for the Zerg player. And obviously, since recall was on cooldown because of those probes, I guess the Void Rays probably found themselves stuck over here in the dead space of Tourmaline. +1 arrow weapons, man. What a beautiful game. We're again just producing out of the regular gateways despite researching warp gates. Mana is setting up some static defense over here on the high ground, but Zerg really needs to know about this expansion. Just one Void Ray would not be enough to actually defend this, right? I mean, Caustic Spray from Corruptors, actually really dangerous now. So, 10 minutes in. Normally, at least half the mineral fields would be out. Potentially more than that, right? Half of these mineral fields are looking skinny, but they're still available. There's not a lot of mining anymore, but it's enough to still sustain this for a little while longer. This game is not yet over, it seems. Zerg army forced to go around the side again. We have a little Stalker hit squad. Transfusions, though, are available as the Queens have popped out of the network again. Mana decides to just pick off a few drones instead, which I actually kind of love. Can we get out? Can we recall? I don't know if it's really worth it. I think he's just going to sack it, or maybe he doesn't have blink. Yeah, maybe try to run them out. Link speed, though, is done. And you know what? The Stalker's actually slippery enough to apparently disappear. This is now going to allow the rest of the Protoss army to make a move for the front lines. Look at the Tempest DPS. It is quite significant. Yep, now that they're shooting these golden balls, we can actually get in pretty easily. And with the Nidus Worm being targeted down first, that means that this hatchery is toast. Even if the Corruptors can slow down it a little bit. Yep, I like this. Recall on some of the units, but not all of the units. Keep the safe, or at least keep the most expensive units here safe. But make sure that you shut down that hatchery here from the Zerg. In the meantime, this second base is providing mana. Just so much additional income. If we look right now at the resources that are coming in per minute in the upper left, mana is effectively doubling what Zerg is currently harvesting. So that means all we really need to do is sit. Maybe sit and scout, right? And scream it out loud. Wait, no. Not quite how that song goes. Anyways, we have Blink coming up. It's an extremely cursed game, but I think strategically what both of the players have done makes so much sense. Queens, though, do want to have some transfusions ready. It's just that any time that we see these Corruptors swooping in, they have to engage on top of shield batteries. And already, I mean, this is not a cost-effective style anymore for Zerg. Already, Mana has the air superiority. I wouldn't mind seeing him put down like a second Stargate or something. I guess he's a little bit worried for the money here running low. We could alternatively even go for another base in the far upper left. Not a bad idea. He's just mostly keeping track, though, on whether or not there's any other Zerg expansions out. And he knows that even though the bases will last longer, they will fizzle out over time. Some nice corrosive biles. But I've got a feeling that Zerg is just bleeding out. Yeah, Povoska is looking around, but now that he sees the base over on the left side, finally, he decides to tap out. Okay, and that will take us to Ruby Rock. Final game of the day. Same players once again. Let's see if it's going to be another Forge First. The Forge First builds really do seem pretty cursed. Are we gonna go for a double extractor trick once more? So it's gonna put Povoska here at 14 out of 12. I think that's what we're doing. Oh no, we're not. We're 12 pooling. Wait a second, but the StarCraft 2 subreddit told me it would be all about 8 pooling now. So we first off started off by going into the worker count that we normally start the game off with, and then we go into a spawning pool at 12 supply. A little bit weird. 12 pool versus Forge First. We did do an extractor trick, by the way, as soon as I moved my camera out. So this is a 12 pool, double extractor trick, 2 more drones into an Overlord. This is not enough yet for the Zerg to go for an expansion, though. So I think we're drone scouting or something. I don't know. One thing they also did include with the new patch, and one of the reasons I'm sure as well why we've been seeing a lot of Zergs hit supply blocks, is a nerf to the Overlord movement speed. The reason for that is pretty self-explanatory, because if you start off with less workers, and the Overlords are still just as strong, yeah, Zerg is just gonna get free scouts every single game. So I've been wondering whether or not drone scouts are back, but no, this is not a drone scout. Silly Lowko! Drone scouting in 2026? Well, actually, maybe. Photon cannon over here is gonna finish, I think, but I mean, it's likely... Oh, only a single Ling here. We're gonna have to fight this single file, not ideal. Hatchery going down over here. Drone actually now in the main base. He wanted to go proxy hatch, but reconsidered immediately. Yeah, I don't know, dude. This is uncomfortable now. The Zerg here decides to pull the trigger. He decides to just cancel it and rebuild it over here on the left. Little bit of money gone, but not the end of the world. Proxy hatch inside of the main base. Mana does not know, but he obviously knew that there was a probe or a drone radar moving around his main base. Look at this, 2.5 minutes in, Overlord finally arrives. Bit funky because he immediately got shot at by a photon cannon. Gateway now done as well. Cybercore added into the mix. This is a second gateway now at home too, creating a bit of a wall off here that we can at least, well, plug like a Zealot or like a Stalker into. Fair enough. Obviously, this is a pool first build, right? From the Zerg player, so it's, yeah, a little bit iffy as well for Protoss to play against this sort of thing. Roach Warren right now, even though we don't have any gas coming in yet. There we go. Roach Warren indeed gets planted. Proxy hatch in the main base. It looks like it will finish. Okay. So, what do we do next? How in the world are we going to be able to proceed now? I would imagine... Oh, Mana has seen it. Yeah. I would imagine that you can go for like a couple of roaches here as the Zerg. Like maybe like 3 roaches or so and run them around the Protoss bases for a bit. There's no Stargate or anything along those lines that can easily kill it. So I think... Yeah, he was always planning on having this be spotted. Even if you don't know about the hatchery, you would see the creep right now. Ah, Queen does start up. We are birthing Brenda right now. It's a beautiful thing. Life always finds a way. Double shield battery, though. One of them on the other side of the map, or one of them inside of the main base of the Protoss. Okay. So, is this good? I can't tell. It's weird. I can tell you that. Oh, man. The new patch really has completely changed StarCraft 2. And whether you like it or you hate the patch notes, I don't really care. Because I find this highly entertaining. Even though some people are stressed out of their minds right now. Some people have no idea what the future is going to look like. And I guess uncertainty is always difficult to deal with. But my god, are these games fun. And I'm sure we will find out that some of the stuff is entirely broken, right? It seems like some things indeed have already been discovered. But ultimately, right, this is adding an additional layer of strategy to a strategy game. Rather than being able to just win based off of speed alone, we're actually going to have to use our big brains to figure out what's going on. This is not looking good, though, here for the Zerg, at least. Yeah, he does have this base mining over here, but the main base for the Protoss is going to be for the Protoss again. We did keep one little creep tumor over here. He's going Blink Stalkers, by the way, this time around. Oh, hey. What? It's a new animation. Is it, like, I'm trying to figure out if it is showing the little research. Nah, you can't see that that is Blink, right? Wait a second. If that is... Like, it is kind of circular. It's like a little globe that is being cooked up over there. We're going to have to keep an eye out if he decides to go for charge as well. Whether or not the animation here is identical. Because with Stargate, you can always see whether or not you're going up against, like, a Void Ray or an Oracle. It would be actually a very significant change. Maybe we're actually going to get to that point, dude. Protoss is looking like we're overwhelming this already. But that would be a very significant change. If you... Oh, never mind. Maybe we're never going to see it. A couple of links got produced out of those extra larvae that were still left over. Nah, I think the probes are going to be able to keep this alive somewhat. I say that, but... Yeah, I think the Nexus... the probes here itself will be enough. The dancing, though, on the other side of the map is still continuing. And it seems to me that the hatchery over at the third base is going to get denied. Mana will get a beautiful staging ground once more. Right outside of the front door of the Zerg. Now we don't have a Nidus Worm. Now we don't have any Tempest shenanigans either. But we do have a very safe haven here for Mana to make an expansion. He's also got the Zerg player exactly where he wants him, contained on one base. So I think it's fine. Keep in mind that expansions, by the way, no longer provide, as we do have Blink now done, so maybe he's just going to give up on the Cyber Core. Oh, look at the Protoss structure burning. So funky. Keep in mind that a Nexus, a hatchery, and a command center provide less supply than they used to. Meaning that you can't just make an expansion and also get, like, the free blessing of a pylon. It effectively means that you are far more committed to any base that you actually end up producing. More risky to make an expansion, I guess. But I have played a lot of games from this exact position. And this is one of those spots where it feels to me like it would be very difficult to lose right now for the Protoss. Zerg is gonna continue fighting because of course they will. Ravagers are still incredible. But this is just such an uphill battle right now here for the Zerg player. You're stuck on one base. You may have still a little bit of vision out on the map. But Mana is going to cut that off as well. Those 2 drones in the far bottom left is going... Yeah, they're going to get spotted too. Dark Shrine, where the Twilight Council used to be. Wait, what? Wait a second. How did he just make a Dark Shrine? Oh, he remade this... Okay, never mind. Was that on my screen and I just didn't see? I thought for a second that he could have made a Dark Shrine there without a Twilight Council, but he rebuilt a Twilight Council, okay? Apparently, even though it's in the middle of my monitor, I didn't notice. Yeah, it happens. In my defense, ever since Bella has been born, I have been casting games of StarCraft 2 a little bit earlier than I used to. It is currently 7:30 a.m. Hope my neighbors don't mind when I start yapping into a microphone at about 6. Anyways, my new IRL build order is to wait for Bella to wake up, give her a bottle of milk, put her back to bed, and then start, yeah, my day. And today was actually pretty late. It was like a 5:30 start. Get a baby, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Actually, we've been pretty lucky with the way that she's been sleeping. So far, knock on wood. Very important, because before you know it, I'm waking up every 2 hours again. Anyways, mana is breaking up towards the high ground here. But I'm a little bit concerned for the invisible men. Now, keep in mind, we're going to have to make the invisible men out of a gateway. Yeah, one at a time. Single file. Yep. Dude, I don't think I've ever seen this before. A gateway without warp gates making a Dark Templar. We do have a few infestors, by the way, coming up. Infestors for fungal growth. They do inhibit any sort of movement ability, so if Zerg can hit a fungal growth on a clump of stalkers and then bile them down, that would be pretty sick. There is no detection, though, inside of the main base of the Zerg player, and at this point, I'm expecting a GG in 3, 2... Okay, we can fungal it as well for vision. One day, I'm gonna get the countdown right. Still a little bit of scouting, though, is here really quite nice here. Even though it is going to be powerful to get fungled. Obviously, you can just, yeah, split a little bit. Okay, or not. Oh, you can just blink as well. That works. Another Dark Templar will be out. He's already queued up an additional one, too. Nexus, by the way, outside of the Terrans, or outside of the Protoss' main, because the creep has been going around here. That one creep tumor preventing Protoss from expanding in their natural habitat. But look at this. The Dark Templar is slicing up whatever it can hit. And that included one of the, well, infestors already. We have a Spore Crawler added in. Maybe we should just go for, I don't know. Okay, maybe we should just go for an Overseer instead. But it really doesn't matter all too much. GG gets cold as mana gets another point on the board.